Hello everyone. Let's look at today's Leetcode problem 2131 longest palindrome by concatenating two letter words. Before starting this problem, let us look at a motivational quote for today. You've got to get up every morning with determination if you are going to go to bed with satisfaction. So it says quite a few things. So we always need to have a determination in the start of our day and end our day with the satisfaction that we have accomplished something, right? So it is always important to have some level of motivation each and every day. Let us understand the problem statement. You are given an array of string words. Each element of words consists of two lowercase English letters. Create the longest possible palindrome by selecting some elements of words and concatenating them in any order. Each element can be selected at most once. Return the length of the longest palindrome that you can create. If it is impossible to create a palindrome, return 0. A palindrome is a string that reads the same forward and backward. Okay, so we have quite a few examples here. So LC, CL, so these two and adding them in between. So out of these set of characters, we can form a palindrome by LC and CL and also GG. So this would be a possible palindrome. And in this set of characters or this set of uh, items in the words array, so ty, ty and yt, these are two possible that can be reversed, and this is another pair. So ty and yt and lc and cl, these are set of palindromes. Here if we see, there are no possible reverse of a specific word, so we can only have one word which is either CCLL or XX. So the length that we need to return is true, and here it would be uh, 2 into 4, which would be equal to 8. Same goes here, 2 into 6, which would be 2 into 3, which would be 6, right? Uh, let's look at how we can solve this problem, or the approach on how we can solve this problem. So we know that a palindrome reads same backwards, right? So and we are given with a set of words, so we can put them in an hash map. This is my general intuition when I see such problems which require some sort of a counting or some sort of a concatenation between two similar characters, wherein we are having to uh, relate it with some sort of a frequency. So we will put all of the words into a hash map, and then for each, so the key will be words of I, which is uh, of length 2 characters, and let's say this will have a count of occurrence, count frequency, and let's say this would be our first step where we put it into hash map, and then we might need to do quite a few operations. So we either can get a pair match if reverse of word of I is in hash map. So if we find a reverse, then we can uh, mark those two words with a total or a total return value, uh, and we can say a total is equals to pairs into 2. So each word will have two characters. That's something that we know. Uh, so each of the two reverse values will always be a 4 at most, right? So that's a general thing to keep in mind. And next thing is, if we find a word which has of 0th character is similar as at 1th place, so then we can call this a, a self palindrome or a word, and we can make use of them to place in between, as we saw in the first example, where if we have such palindromes, we can obviously start placing, let's say if we start placing A, G, 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 or if there are more palindromes, we can always push it to the middle of the string, right? So yeah, that's the whole idea. And let's go to the Leetcode editor and try solving this problem quickly. Maybe I can have quick set of lines that, or maybe I can take up a dry run on a specific example just for us to understand a specific example. Maybe let me take this example, LCGG, and it might be CL, right? So these are the few set of characters. So let's say so we put all of these into hash map and we mark them with the value 0. And once we do that, we check if reverse of the word exists, then we set a value to 1 in both case, and then we uh, also increase the number of uh, total value to 2 pairs into 2, or 1 into 4. Maybe that would be the easiest way. Yeah, but we can do a calculation there, and we see this specific word which has 0 occurrence, we self palindromic, we also multiply the same way. And one other thing to consider is, if there is self palindromic character are of if self palindromic characters have a count then we might have to mark them as middle, and maybe we can set a flag as middle as true if we find 3 or odd number of self palindromic, odd number. So let me start writing a few set of code snippets and let's try solving this problem. So this is for a check if we need to have something centered. And we further increase the value of answers by a plus 2, and let's see that maybe in a while. uh, so if the word uh, is already a self palindrome, then we do this set of operations where And if there are odd number of characters, then we simply mark the flag as center to true. And next we check if there is a pair of uh, words which exist on reverse of a specific word string, that is reversing a specific word such as this, whereas LC can be reversed to CL and they can be formed a palindrome. So that is with respect to this else if block. And we calculate so it can either be this one or this one. So we let's So once we have used a specific reverse of a word, then we mark it to 0 so that it cannot be reused again as per this condition where which says each element can be selected at most one time. And with this we are even marking this not to be reused again in next part of the iteration when we are looking at other set of words, right? So and we also mark the specific word also to be checked, right? So all we are doing here is we are uh, pushing all the individual words to frequency counter. Okay. And we are having to have two different variables, one to check the uh, length of the largest palindrome, calculate the length of the largest palindrome, and hash center if there are multiple self palindromic uh, string words and then we check if there are odd number of self palindromic words so that we can insert the odd one at the middle of them. So as we saw in our drawing board, where if there are multiple GGs and AA or something like that, then we can add in between GG another pair of self palindromic words. So that's the whole idea here, right? So and in here we are checking uh, math.min. We are using it because we can obviously consider the min value and we are obviously storing the whole numbers, but yeah. So and So if we get a pair of 1, then we add up 4. If we get a pair of 2, then we add up, uh, let's say there are 4 pairs, then we add up plus 4 to this, and we also mark this to 0. So that's how the calculation is going on here. So, and here we are taking the hash center into consideration by adding 2 more characters, and we are returning the value of answer. If we need to understand the time complexity of this solution, we have one hash map used to store all the frequency of words. So that would take up in space complexity, and time complexity would be n as we are iterating through each word. So let's try submitting the solution and let's see if this works. I think one possible change. And we should be iterating over the frequencies array, not the words array. So that's one change here. Let me try resubmitting the solution. We should be, when we are iterating over each word, we should be using off. Okay, let's try resubmitting. Okay, so the solution gets submitted. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.